The Indiana Pacers, now last season, had one of the greatest playoff runs in NBA history. Before the season started, the Pacers had the 13th best odds of winning this year's championship, despite them making it to the Eastern Conference Finals the season prior. During that 24 season, they made a marquee mid-season trade to get Pascal Siakam by giving up Bruce Brown, Jordan Noah, and 3 first-round picks to the Raptors. The Pacers literally snatched him to pair alongside Tyrese Haliburton and to bolster their roster towards making a push to the playoffs. Although they have made it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals, many, including myself, didn't respect their run because they took advantage of the injury bug of certain teams such as the Bucks, missing Giannis and Dame in some games in the first round. And then against the Knicks, Josh Hart was dealing with injuries, OG Anunoby was dealing with injuries, and he sat in certain games. Jalen Brunson in Game 7 had a broken hand. There was some truth to say about the Pacers having a fluke run because teams had nagging injuries that crippled them in the long run. Of course, the Celtics swept them in the conference finals, but despite not having Tyrese Haliburton for the last 3 games of the series, they were going toe-to-toe against Boston going down to the wire. But we all know that Boston wasn't going all out and playing down to their competition. In last year's offseason, the Pacers didn't really do anything too much and had the same roster as before. Pascal Siakam will have a full season under his belt with Indiana, and his impact will later show in January of this year. Despite their 10-15 start of the season, since January, the Pacers finished with a 46-18 record, putting them alongside OKC as the teams with the best record since January. They still had a top 10 offense in the league, but defensively they have improved to 8th in the defensive rating department since the beginning of this year, and they have the 2nd best defensive turnover percentage as well too. From the beginning of this year, they have shown signs that they are a legit championship contender. They have 8 guys averaging 9 or more points, making them arguably the deepest and hottest team going into the playoffs. It's just that no one thought or noticed that they're primed for a historic run. Now, I've talked about how great the Pacers were this postseason in many of my videos, so I'm not going to go too much on this run, given how memorable and iconic this run has been. Throughout the whole run, they had undoubtedly the best offense in this postseason. They led all teams in field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, assists to turnovers, meaning they have the most assists while committing less turnovers, and also they have been the most resilient and overall clutch playoff teams in NBA history, and it's really because of Tyrese Haliburton. Haliburton led the team to 5 15-point comebacks, which is tied with the most in playoff history. Every series he had a game winner, including the NBA Finals, where he hit a game-clinching shot in Game 1 of the NBA Finals on the road, makes him the first player since Jordan in '97 to make a game-winning shot in the Finals, and all of this was because the entire league called him the most overrated player in the league. Sure, he may not be a superstar yet, but this extra fuel he had from his peers made him one of the most clutch players in NBA history, judging from this very run alone. This run from the Pacers gave us one of the best final series since 2016, and they forced a Game 7 against a historic Thunder team with one of the best and most dominant defenses in NBA history. Of course, one of the biggest focal points of this video is the Haliburton Achilles injury during the first few minutes of Game 7, which is obviously one of the most heartbreaking moments in NBA history. It is just a shame how this game was going to be so legendary compared to Game 7 in 2016 due to Haliburton's quick scoring burst in the first 5 minutes of the game, but his leg gave out in the worst time. But that Haliburton, they just didn't have a chance against OKC, leading to their demise. So with this devastating end for the Indiana Pacers, what's next for them going forward? How would they go about missing Haliburton for the whole season in 26? Right now, they have Miles Turner and James Johnson and Thomas Bryant all as free agents this offseason, and so what they need to do is to re-sign Turner and Bryant. I know Miles Turner had a lackluster finals performance, but we can't deny the impact that he makes for this Pacers squad. He is the quintessential modern stretch big that can defend really well in the paint, but during the playoffs, he has been really struggling to grab rebounds as he averaged a pitiful 5 rebounds a game, and that's not going to cut it. I feel like they need to improve on the rebounding department so that way they can increase their possessions, let alone second chance opportunities, and guys like Luke Cornett or even Jericho Sims in the market, or trade for a rebounder like a Daniel Gafford or a Robert Williams III and move Turner to the 4th spot. I feel like either Gafford or Williams will definitely fit with the Pacers system, as well as being a presence in the rebounding department. I think that the Pacers will sign Miles Turner to a 4-year, around a $100 million deal, and for Bryant, they will stick to a more of a veteran minimum deal. With this deal, the Pacers will still be below the first and second apron, meaning they can still make mid-sized deals and sign more veteran minimum players. Hell, even get a starter level player like a Nas Reed without dealing with tax consequences. Other than that, the Pacers have pretty much everyone locked in for a couple of years. Pascal Siakam is under contract, and so is Nembhard, Nesmith, and of course Haliburton. You still have Mathurin, Toppin, Jarris Walker, and other young guys like Ben Shepherd, Johnny Furphy, and everyone else. The biggest question this offseason is who will be the substitute floor general while Tyrese Haliburton's out for the season. Well, they will need another point guard in this offseason. They can acquire that can be a floor general, because Nakano can't operate the offense like Haliburton, and so can Nembhard. So they need to get another guy that can do that. Tyus Jones is in the market, and he's the ideal fit for the needs for the Pacers squad. This is a guy that can facilitate the offense reasonably well, can be a great substitute for Haliburton. Another great option is Malcolm Brogdon. I can see him having a reunion with Indiana now, having an identity, and literally was one game away from winning it all. He'll be a great addition to this team. Those are the best options that Indiana can consider when dealing with the absence of Haliburton. I still think that Indiana is a top 3 team in the Eastern Conference. I still think they are a finals contender without a healthy Haliburton if they make these additions that I've mentioned earlier. Rick Carlisle is not a type of coach that will stand idly by and tank. No, but this Pacers team is still deep, and they play like a team. They are resilient and let alone one of the most mentally toughest teams in the league. And if they get a point guard that does half of what Haliburton can do as far as playmaking, and get a starter level center to pair alongside Turner, and most importantly, improve on the rebounding department, they will be fine without Haliburton. And if they do this and Haliburton comes back next season and is the same guy that he was 2 seasons ago, with all the added depth they added without him on the court, then the Pacers can and will dominate the Eastern Conference and eventually win a championship because of the added depth and needs they acquired over the years. I want to touch on this NBA Finals as a whole, because this Finals has really taught us a whole lesson, and that is ring culture is truly dead. All the players that hop on team after team to get a ring, even though they never grew with one another, they never had chemistry with one another, and teams that construct these rosters with a bunch of stars are just a thing of the past. Because all the last 6 teams that have won a championship, they had homegrown talent and developed over time together. You can't just rely on trades for a bunch of stars and expect it to work. That's what we saw from Kevin Durant, especially James Harden too, and look at their careers now. They have single-handedly sabotaged their careers in a way because they were too focused on trying to get a ring, and this shit is not going to work. What we see from OKC and the Indiana Pacers, they have proven that building through the draft, developing culture, chemistry, and bond. Hell, you can even say the same thing with the Miami Heat, despite them not winning a championship. Sure, you can make trades here and there, but for the majority of the time, if you draft well, if you develop well, you develop a culture there, you will have success in this league. And it's been like that in history. For the Pacers specifically, I feel like they have revolutionized the game in a way, and OKC definitely have some part of it as well too. They made team ball more of an emphasis. Guys from the starting lineup and from the bench can go off at any given moment, aka the Pacers, and they don't have to rely on the three-pointer like most teams in the NBA, specifically Boston, who live and die by the three. They can score in a multitude of ways through transition, the mid-range, and of course the three-pointer, causing turnovers and converting to points. That's what makes this final series so special, because both teams are actually playing basketball, not horse. I think more teams are going to stay away from acquiring so much star power over the years and instead prioritize more team-oriented needs and depth, because what we've seen from OKC and the Pacers, they showed the blueprint on how to win and have success in this league. And that's the reason why I still think the Pacers will continue to contend for a championship next season without Haliburton playing in for many years to come. And that's the video. What are y'all thoughts on this video? What do y'all think about the Pacers and how you all think they should go about it in this offseason? Be sure to subscribe to this channel for more NBA videos in the future, and also turn on post notifications. And that is all. Stay litty. This is the A-Man Show, signing out.